Welcome back to Coffee with Police Experts, St. Louis, Missouri, ILEDA 2022 edition. I'm Doug Wiley with Police Magazine. I'm here with Steve Kiefer with Reactionary Gap. Steve, you just told me something that kind of surprised me. This is your very first conference. You're just now introducing the company and the technology. Tell me about how Reactionary Gap came to be, and kind of bring us in the short version of your history, how you got to be here at ILEDA today.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. I began my career in law enforcement in 1989 as a reserve officer in a medium-sized city in northern Nevada. In 1990, I was hired as an officer, and over the period of 23 years, I moved through all the ranks, many assignments. I retired my last 4 years as a chief of police in that city. Through the different assignments and always being a student at the range, I saw a void in law enforcement training with firearms training, and specifically. It was probably mid-2000s, 2005, 2006, after some training, and I realized that there's no training that gets an officer or deputy prepared to respond to muzzle flash during live fire, obviously because of safety reasons.
Right. With
that, I held on to the idea. I was busy moving through the ranks and trying to be effective in those roles. I retired in 2013, and I began to work on a technology. And it was a rough road of coming up with different types of prototypes, trying to figure out how could we deliver and offer to range staff a product that was safe but effective for live fire range training.
And this simulates the muzzle flash, of course. How does this work? Precisely, what does it look like when you're doing it?
Absolutely. So it's a Bluetooth patent pending technology. It has an app that is free when you purchase the system, and it connects just like you would connect your Bluetooth headphones. You will connect headphones, or you can connect an external speaker. It connects to a receiver that you place on the ground near your target, and then a cable runs from the receiver to a muzzle flash device. The muzzle flash device embeds through an existing cardboard target, or it can be adhered to the exterior of a steel target. And from there, you train within 35 feet of normal Bluetooth connectivity, and from there you begin your training.
Interesting. So now, from an experience perspective, as a shooter operator, what does it feel like? I don't want to say what does it look like, because I kind of understand what it looks like. How does that change the feeling of the experience in that training environment? What does that do to the physiological aspect of the training? It certainly makes it more real.
Absolutely. I look at this best as, reality-based training to law enforcement is gold. It's key. You're trying to desensitize officers, deputies that are new to this job in a controlled environment over and over and over, so they can control their emotions on those calls later in life. This is very dramatic, especially when they buy for the option of the headphones versus just an external Bluetooth speaker. It's very loud. Their hearing protection is placed over those Bluetooth headphones, so they have the protection when they're shooting. But really what it's about is to train them to react. You're looking to be overwhelmed. When that officer in a scenario asks for ID or whatever that may be, and is not expecting a handgun, and then that handgun comes out, and most of the time they're going to get shot first or shot at first. What do they do? And that was another part. There was a void in training that I knew, but then there was also that constant, the teletypes that were in the 90s to 2000s of an officer shot in this city, this state, and it just made me wonder, what were they experiencing? Were they doing the worst thing you could do, which is be startled, like if your child or your spouse scares you, and your hands come up and your shoulders come up and you're stuck. You can't get to the next step because you're trying to process this.
Yeah.
I wanted to create something for firearms instructors to dramatically affect that calmness in an officer so they could train how to react to this in compressed times.
Yeah, and to a certain extent, you're also talking about the OODA loop, right? I mean, you're talking about you're observing, you're orienting yourself to this now sudden unknown or suddenly introduced stimuli, which is the muzzle flash, which is that I'm being shot at thing, and then you have to decide and act, right?
Absolutely, and I love the OODA loop concept, and it's so old, but it is so relevant, and it occurs in our lives, whether you work in law enforcement or you don't. You are always observing and orienting, deciding and acting. But absolutely, this system is designed to improve your orient.
Yeah.
And you, unfortunately with the OODA loop, you can't just work through the process until you move through it. You can't get to act until you've done the other three. And when you're overwhelmed, it's orient. That's where you're going to be stuck. And when you look at a police shooting, you're talking 2 seconds, 3 seconds, the whole thing's over. Yeah. This isn't designed to try to save 2 seconds, 1 second. We're talking fractions of seconds that law enforcement trainers understand. If we can get a response from an officer to improve a quarter second, a half a second in that imminent danger, the odds are going to improve for them drastically.
During the course of the development of the new product, the new technology, and now that you've been here at ILEDA for more than 2 days, you've talked with a number of police trainers, firearms instructors, and what have you. What are you hearing from the market? What are you hearing from people who, in the process of developing the new technology, and now that you're bringing it to market and talking with people here in St. Louis and elsewhere, what's the feedback looking like?
It's been exceptional, and I was just like anyone that would design a product and then go to market. You think it's a great idea. You've kind of owned it and babied it, but I've tried to be very real with this over the last 3-4 years that it may seem like a great idea, but until the true professionals look at it from a critical viewpoint and see how they can apply it, I just didn't know. So yesterday was the first day on the trade show, and I was pleasantly and welcomed by the positivity that it received. The firearms instructors that got it absolutely saw it augmenting their reality-based training that they're doing, and range instructors are very, and I'm not a range instructor, they're very creative, very creative, and I knew I didn't have to bring in a training portion with this because they're far more creative than I am. As they look at this and said, well, we're going to use it in XYZ applications. Right. So thus far, the last 2 days have been outstanding.
Outstanding. Steve, I want to thank you very much for coming up with this idea. I think it's fantastic. And for taking some time to talk with us today.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. So come on back real soon for more Coffee with Police Experts, ILEDA 2022 series. For Police Magazine, I'm Doug Weiling.